Good afternoon.
Hey, Michael.
How's it going? How's it going?
Just kidding.
Sorry, I'm in the car. I'm sitting, but it apparently Zoom recognizes that I'm in a car and makes me manually hit the microphone to speak.
I didn't hear anything you just said. My speakers were off, apparently.
I said, it's wonderful to see you today. How's things going?
That's not at all what you said, but.
No, I said I'm in my car, and apparently now that Zoom is updated, it knows somehow that I'm in a car, and it forces you into safe driving mode, and I have to manually hit the speaker button to talk, which seems counterintuitive, but.
Well, it seems way less safe. Like just
exactly.
Yeah.
I will let you know I'm sitting still. I'm in a parking lot, so.
Well, that's good. Jeff was just. Were you with Jeff this morning?
Yep, I was. Yep, in Birdstown.
Yeah, he was calling me and he kept losing signal. So.
Yep.
He was like, "Well, I can pull over if I need to." I was trying to beg him for an air conditioning unit. So.
Well, he better get that for you.
He said when we update the other side of the building, I can get it.
Okay. You tell him you know HR professionals, you'll get them on him.
That's right. Definitely so fitting for this call.
Exactly. Well, the call was received very well this morning in Birdstown, because they all agreed about the need for human resources and navigating everything, and so I think this is very timely.
Well, good. I wonder if any of them will jump on. Do you think?
I hope so. We will see. And I've got some. Andrea and I were talking about that, and she's going to talk to you. I think y'all are going out on Saturday, so she's got some comments. And
we are having a work business meeting on Saturday, correct?
Yep, that's what I understand. So that's good. So, and also, just I guess real quick before we start, I've got I just now as of this week, we have our doctoral graduate assistant that's helping us with the research for everything that we're doing. So we'll maybe next week or two, let's have a LBRC call, and I'll bring her to that and can introduce her, and she can talk about some ways that she can help you all. And just as soon as I hear back from HR, we'll have a full-time coordinator.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath on that. Tech takes forever.
Yes.
So yeah.
Hang on just a second.
Hi, Jennifer. I don't know if you have a way to talk or not, but I just figured I'd say hi.
And I'm gonna mute myself. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, that's fine. Hi, Dee.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, awesome.
Do you not have a video? Am I going to be the only one that with video capabilities today?
No, I'm going to share the video. Let's see.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's so much easier to do these things in pajamas, but I can do pajamas today.
Hi, Dawn.
Oh, I've got my back. Hang on.
You figured out how to make some sort of backdrop so the dogs aren't in the video.
Well, actually, I had to switch out to my living room today because my desktop isn't working. So yeah, but I've got a backdrop that I'm trying.
It works enough. It looks decent, so
Yeah, so you won't see any snoring dogs or.
Yeah.
See, if it was up to Andrea, she would have all the dogs as backgrounds.
I'm sure there's a dog in her background right now sleeping.
No, I think she's on the back of the couch, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually in my bedroom because that's like decent light. And I set the computer up on my dresser, and I realized you could see into my bathroom, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
Wow. Wow.
Zoom calls are fun, aren't they?
They are. They're very interesting.
Yep.
And I was like all excited because the kids have been back at school, and so I was like, I'll do it in my office. I'm great. Well, it's election day, so the kids don't have school today, so I'm stuck at home.
Yep. That's where I'm at. I've got my son and his best friend and my daughter downstairs. And I
Yeah.
told them, I said, Dad's going to be on an important call. And they said, well, we'll come up there and check on you. I was like, no, stay away.
I know. I said, I have 1 hour. Do whatever you want for an hour. You'll be fine.
Right.
Don't
right.
kill each other.
My kitchen's going to be a mess. I know it. I can hear them down there making food. So it's not good.
I think mine are just watching YouTube, I think. So I think I should be okay.
You need to teach a tutorial on how to get them to do that, man.
Oh, they've had enough death stares from me on these calls where I'm like,
And dogs don't even get the signal. They're just like, oh, well.
You'll have one in your lap in a minute.
I brought my cat to the Biz Foundry yesterday.
Good.
Really?
It was like Dr. Evil.
You're even crazier than I am.
I had to take him to the vet and I didn't want to go home in between.
Oh, gotcha.
He ended up he was kind of freaking out at first, but he laid down on my desk for a little while and then he just curled up in a ball right next to I had the door open and everything. He could have gone anywhere, but he just hung out. So
I used to bring the dog to work, but then when we moved into the administration building, it just doesn't work as well because people don't like it. Some people don't like dogs for some reason.
What? Who doesn't like dogs?
Yeah, really.
People.
I think I like dogs more than people sometimes.
I definitely like dogs more than people.
All right. I'm not a dog person. I've had dogs before, but I'm not a dog person. Not a dog.
So as people are jumping on, I just put my contact information in the chat. And so if you guys want to put your contact information in the chat, especially Dee and Dawn, that way people can contact you if they have more, questions, if you don't mind. And then I will be live streaming this to Facebook and recording it as well. So.
So what is it in particular that you not? Okay.
Yeah, so just if you want to drop your email address in there so that people after the call can contact you. We did end up having 10 people sign up for the call, so we should have a bit of a more join us.
Slow.
And it's interesting that we're having a talk on HR today. I've been begging my boss for a air conditioning unit in my office because it's extremely hot. And so we were kind of saying that might be fitting for the HR department to get involved. Here we go. We got some more people joining in. Awesome. And just as we are getting started, so those people who are joining in, we are doing these every other week-ish. We did one last week. I didn't really realize this was August already. The next one that we're doing is on Google and G Suite. And so actually, Abigail, I'm sorry, she's down there, Middle Tennessee Marketing. She's going to be helping us lead that discussion next. It's in 2 weeks. It is on August 17th.
17th, yeah.
At 11 a.m. So we'll be doing that next month. And so I'm hoping that these calls will provide a community of entrepreneurs and people involved with small business to connect. And those of you who have been on a couple of the other calls, it's a great opportunity to just kind of get some pointers or get some ideas from other people that are in a similar situation to you. And so it's been so nice so far, and we're hoping to grow this community as we do more of these and have a set schedule. So we'll give about 2 or 3 more minutes until we start officially our call. Andrea, were you with, or Michael, whoever, were you guys with Tyler too? Is he jumping on?
I have no idea what he's doing, but yeah, we were with him.
Okay.
So I assume so, but I don't know.
Okay.
We had to come back. We left a little early because we've got other meetings, including this.
Got it. Well, I appreciate you showing up for us.
Well, of course.
I am about to start the live stream to Facebook right now. Andrew and Haley, if you can go ahead and share that through this Foundry and
On it.
okay. I will probably do it through my own page as well. All right, so welcome to the Local Business Resource Collective Community Call for this week. For those of you who are just kind of joining in with us, the Local Business Resource Collective is a group of small business groups that we've kind of gotten together, and we've figured out that we want to help small businesses the best way we can. We have some resources that the Biz Foundry offers. We have some resources that the Center for Rural Innovation offers. We have the Small Business Development Center, and we also have WCTE as a media partner. And so we have these great entities in the community, and people don't A, know that we exist, or B, get so frozen that they don't even know where to go to approach to get the help that they need to start or grow a business. And so we've kind of taken these great resources that we have, we put them together, and we're starting to these every other week phone calls. And so community calls of different topics. If there's a topic you'd like to see, let me know, and we get those scheduled. We're hoping that you just kind of keep coming, and hopefully you'll get something out of these calls, you know, each week. So what I want to do is just give a quick intro from those of us who are kind of part of the LBRC and what we're offering, and then I want to hear from the entrepreneurs that we have on the call, and then we'll kind of get into things. So go ahead, Haley, go give a quick intro.
Okay. Hi, I'm Haley. I work with the Biz Foundry. I do the marketing and communications. I also do freelance work as a designer and a writer.
Sorry, I'm Tiffany Anton. I forgot to do that part. I'm the Director of Outreach and Engagement at the Biz Foundry, and the Biz Foundry is kind of your front door to entrepreneurship. So we have a lot of resources that are helping you figure out how to start your business and how to get the ball rolling, and then connections after that as well. Kinsey, go ahead. Oh, hold on. You're muted. There you go.
Sorry. I've been doing this for so long, it feels like that it still happens though a lot. So my name's Kinsey. Hi everyone. I'm actually working this summer as a PhD student for the Center for Rural Innovation, but I'm mainly with Tennessee Tech's Grand Challenge to transform rural living through economic development as the main thing with Rural Reimagined. So I'm here listening in mostly because soon, once the semester starts at Tech, what I'd love to do is write recognition stories of all of these LBRC community calls, and really recognize all of the local businesses here, all of the local businesses we get to meet, and also the impacts that we make. So glad to be here, and it's nice to meet all of you.
Awesome. Andrea, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Andrea Kruska. I'm the Rural Outreach Coordinator with the Center for Rural Innovation at Tennessee Tech. We work with small businesses and entrepreneurs across the entire Upper Cumberland, focusing mostly on our rural, distressed, and at-risk counties to try and move the economic needle and make the Upper Cumberland the best place possible.
Awesome. Michael.
Thanks, Tiffany. So my name is Michael Akins. I head up economic development initiatives at Tennessee Tech. Those include the Rural Reimagine Grand Challenge that Kenzie referenced, also the Center for Rural Innovation. And most recently, we received a CARES Act grant that allows us to do basically expand our bandwidth and response for COVID outreach in the Upper Cumberland. And we also head up the EagleWorks and Innovation Entrepreneurship program here at Tech. And I will pass it over to Peyton, who is our brand new GA, and she's going to do applied research, and she can tell you a little bit more about that.
Hi, thank you all for letting me be here today. I am the research assistant for the TTR CARES Act project. So I'm really looking at some of the economic injuries as a result of COVID. And I'm developing a program planning model where we can better navigate what kind of resources we need to be better prepared for related disasters like COVID.
Awesome. And Avery.
Find my mute button. Hello, everybody. I'm with WCTE, and we are a partner with the Biz Foundry for this initiative. And I think we're just going to try to provide some perspective on promotion and how to build cross promotion across multiple platforms, and how to create and develop video that best represents your business. So maybe just as a consultant through a marketing multimedia platform.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Real quick now, I know that Patrick, Jennifer, and Abigail don't have pictures up. Are you mute? Can you talk? Can you not talk?
I can talk today.
Okay, good. Abigail, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Abigail Laprad. I'm the owner of Middle Tennessee Marketing. We help small businesses get online and get in front of their customers. And I am the one that's going to be doing the next call. I believe it's the next call, the one on Google and G Suite. And I look forward to seeing you guys then as well.
Great. And then Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm the one-stop operator for the American Job Center. So I am the manager for all 14 Upper Cumberland counties. And I just hopped on here I didn't know that you guys existed. So we want to be able to help any of the employers we can. I've got grants, I've got job assistance, we have all sorts of things that we can help small or large businesses. But we do have some money out there, especially with the CARES Act money.
Great. Thanks for joining us today. It's great that you found us and we found you. And Patrick.
Yes, my name's Pat Lewis. I'm the Director of Accounting Services with PYE in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're a tax, accounting, and consulting firm. And here in Knoxville, we have the Knoxville Entrepreneurial Center, and very interested in economic development, working with UT and Oak Ridge National Lab. And so we saw you were creating this new program, if you would, initiative to reach out to the Upper Cumberland area, which we also have an interest in with offices in Nashville and Knoxville. So you're kind of right in between. So for me, is just learning the opportunities, the intent of the program, and perhaps seeing if we can participate in some venue, some way going forward. Go
ahead. Oh. All All right. Thank you so much, you guys. And so our speakers today are experts, if you will. We have Dee Prince and Don Maudlin.
That's right.
And so I am going to give you guys kind of 5 minutes to give your take on things. And this is a really open format. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And after they kind of give their tips and best practices, then we'll have a lot of discussion time kind of to go on. So Dawn, do you want to go ahead and go first?
Sure. My name's Dawn, as she said, and I am the owner of a newly started small business, Maudlin Business Solutions. And just to give you a short little story, I've been working in the Cookeville area for the past 5 years. I was moved here 5 years ago by Academy Sports, their distribution center that they opened up 5 years ago. And they moved me here as their operations training manager. So I helped get them up and running and trained over 400 people when we opened the doors with the distribution center here in Cookeville. My background is training and management and HR. And so, but recently I was with FICOSA, which is FICOSA North America, I believe is the official name, that moved here to Cookeville. And unfortunately, COVID hit and they did some cutbacks, and I was one of those cutbacks. So I thought, you know what, I am just going to start up my own business. I used to have my own up north where I moved from, and I just decided I'm going to do that here instead. So I have recently created Maudlin Business Solutions, and I'm pulling together all of my many years of experience in the field, HR, training, and management, and offering it as a coach and consultant through my own business. So I love Tennessee, and I am so glad, even though it didn't last at Academy that long, and I'm so glad they moved me here, because I have never been happier than living in the Upper Cumberland area than anywhere else. And I've lived lots of places. I've lived in Florida and Colorado and Indiana, and this by far is my favorite.
Awesome. So do you have tips that you like, best practices that you can share, just kind of a general idea of?
Right now, I would just, for the most part, and I don't know what Dee's going to talk about, but right now, for the most part, when it comes to HR issues, I know a very important thing that companies, small businesses need to be aware of is, for example, if we are allowing employees to work from home, which many are, we definitely need to make sure that the policies and procedures are updated regarding that. If you have an employee handbook, an employee manual, you may need to add some addendums in that, just because what's coming up is, and I know of a couple of companies here locally that's had to deal with this, is some employees were allowed to work from home and then they didn't want to come back. And some companies are okay with that and are saying, okay, that's fine, you can continue, it's worked out well, you know, we'll allow you that. But some companies have said, well, no, that was just temporary and that was just for COVID time, but we are open again now. And we would like our employees to be on site now. And so there definitely needs to be some kind of policy written so that when a company makes that decision, that they're going to either allow their employees to go off site and to work, that they have that covered as a policy, and what they expect if they ask them to return on site. So that's one I know that's kind of a hot button right now that businesses are dealing with. The whole COVID thing, of course, is causing lots of HR nightmares for a lot of businesses, small businesses, restaurants. I'm friends with several small businesses, restaurant owners in the area, and a couple of them have had to deal with some employees, servers, waitresses that have tested positive, and they need to know exactly what to do immediately when that happens. The businesses that I have talked with, I have said you have got to, number one, you cannot hide that from your customers. You just cannot be holding back that information. If someone has tested positive as a server and they have been in your restaurant recently, you're going to have to make sure that that is known and that you have everyone, at least on staff, tested as well because of the exposure to the one. Obviously, they've got to isolate the one that tested immediately, and they should not return, at least according to COVID policies right now, for 14 days. So those are some issues that are coming up right now in our restaurants and our bars here in town. The bigger guys already have their policies set in place. Walmart's requiring that we all come in with masks. Kroger is requesting that. And
Dawn, I have a question for you. So is this, do you suggest as small business owners that, if they have a policy for working from home and when you need to come back and how that's all going to work, do they need to have really well written, spelled out COVID procedures as well of what's, when somebody tests positive, what's going to happen, does that all need to be updated in the employee handbook as well?
Definitely. Yeah, handbooks, I think we until now, we've not ever in employee handbooks ever thought of putting in, anything regarding a pandemic. So now this has changed everything when it comes to the HR world, and the employee handbooks are now going to have a section that deals with infectious diseases, pandemics. I know that there has been policies regarding things in the past that has been put in as a result of the past when it came to sickness, but not at this level ever. And so we definitely have to have our HR manuals updated and regarding to this whole thing with the pandemic.
Well, and I feel like sick leave is somewhat similar to your school age kids and attendance policies. So I probably stretch it and how much I have sent my kids in the past because attendance counts against them. So as the employers, what's your suggestion on how to deal with this? You don't want people coming in sick, but you have to have some sort of policy.
Yeah. And I know there's been some abuse in this regard when it comes to taking sick days and using COVID as the reason. So an employer is going to have to cover themselves definitely in that regard with having a policy that says, okay, if, and then in this case, if it's COVID, if you're saying you're out sick because you are either exposed or you have been tested positive, they're going to have a policy set in place that the employee can show proof of this. And HIPAA definitely comes into play with all of this as well. So it's a muddy mess, but a company does have to be able to protect their assets as well, and that includes employees' hours. There are businesses I'm hearing around town that the employees are just saying, well, I can't come in. I was exposed to someone this weekend. And they're not wanting to take their sick days because supposedly they can, get away with this due to COVID. The company has the right to go ahead and set up a policy regarding that. And there has to be factual information shared regarding that as well. It's an obligation on the employee and the employer regarding this. So a policy definitely has to be put in place.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Dee so Dee's HR is a past for him now, but not the doom and gloom of COVID, but just in general, some HR tips that you have for us. But go ahead and introduce yourself, Dee, and tell us kind of your history and some of your tips.
Sure. So first of all, thanks everybody for joining today. I was excited when Tiffany approached me about speaking about HR because I've done it for 17 plus years. I know with my young baby face, it doesn't show, but I've been a HR director. I've kind of ran the whole gamut. I've been an HR director. I've been an HR coordinator. I've been an HR, a senior generalist at FACOSA, one of the companies that Don was at. And then I was actually from August of 2018 to November of 2018, I was the interim HR manager over at FACOSA before I decided to leave a year later and go over to Cummins, where I worked mainly in payroll. That was one aspect of HR that I had never really experienced before. So I took that as a challenge and an opportunity to do that. I really liked being a director. I really liked being a leader. I really liked being in charge. So I accepted a position over at the UCHRA with the CASA program, and I'm now the new director over at the UCHRA for the CASA program. Being with the CASA program now, we do child advocacy, but I have 4 coordinators from Overton, Smith, Cumberland, and Putnam counties, and there has to be an aspect, there has to be an air of HR when dealing with your coordinators. And so I'm still kind of doing HR. And I just want to say really quickly, Don, you touched on, you couldn't be more spot on about the pandemic and the changes that it has caused small businesses to kind of reroute, restructure, and redirect. I actually, of course, with my HR background, with the CASA program, I had to come up with a pandemic protocol. And I now, I've established within our handbook something that's called PDO, which is pandemic days off. Most of my county coordinators are over the age of 65. They work about 30 hours a week. And so I have to take into consideration some of the personal aspects, the intimate aspects is what I call it, seeing as though that they're over a certain age, compromised immune systems. So you really have to dive in and have one-on-ones with the people that you have working for you. So I thought that was great that you actually touched on that. Some of the tips that I had were really basic. The foundations of if you're starting a business. I've seen quite a few small businesses, did some counseling with some small businesses in the area, even had one use my PDOs. They've established it for their company now, which kind of makes me proud. It's like having another child. One of the biggest things with small businesses that you want to establish from an HR standpoint is your, as Don mentioned, also your policies, procedures, your training. So the handbook is probably the single most important thing that you need to have if you are a small business with anywhere from 2 to 50 employees. The reason why is that is your, I don't want to call it a Bible, but that is your written documentation that you have to use as backup towards anything that may happen there, may happen at your place of business. Training is especially important. I hear a lot of young people that are working now, some that are working for small businesses such as boutiques or product or service, product selling. What I hear from them is that this person has come in, taken a job, and they are in a role of a manager or an assistant manager, somebody that's a general manager of the actual business, but they are unaware of how to terminate someone, how to train the next person for their position that they've been hired for, if it's just a sales clerk or whatever it may be. So the training aspect is extremely important, and the handbook is something that will cover most of these things in terms of how to do their job. Another thing is the attendance policy. You'd be surprised, especially in the world of manufacturing, this talent pool, the talent pool that applies at certain businesses, that also goes through the staffing agencies. You'd be surprised in that talent pool how many people talk to each other about the other company's attendance policy, whether they're training people, the confidentiality portion of it. There's a lot of people that discuss what's happened, and this is just an example, what happens over at Academy, coming in and wanting to work at FACOSA. How's the attendance policy? Do these people talk? Does the HR have a big mouth? These are all things that all topics of discussion that happen within this talent pool when you're trying to make your company attractive to people to hire in. A lot of companies around the area are having trouble hiring people. There's a lot of things that are going on with that, such as, the whole pandemic, such as the issues that go along with being able to collect unemployment. But also within that is trying to feel out the temperature of each company. So if you're a small business and you want your business to become attractive, you have to have efficient and clear, transparent policies, treating everyone as an individual. I know that sometimes that can be hard to do, but it's about managing personalities less than it is about numbers in the door. Because when you start doing that as a small business, what you're going to find is a revolving door where you're going to have many people applying and many people leaving once they've been hired. So the biggest things for me are, as a small business, have your training in your training policies and procedures in order, your attendance policy, your transparency with confidentiality, and also, keeping your reputation tight.
Dee, I have a question. So a lot of our people are, they're one person.
One person.
Where could they go? Let's say they are ready to take that leap to just hire on one or two people. And so it seems probably that's a lot of work to put a whole policy in, to do a handbook. Is there resources that people can go to find help in making HR policy handbook?
Sure. I mean, you've got Dawn, who does business solutions. I mean, that's what business solutions is, for any resource that you need in terms of HR, getting things
even for just a small leap like that.
Dawn? I'm sure Dawn would be able to, and I mean, I see her nodding her head, so I'm sure that she's able to minimize it or maximize it. You have to understand, if you have a small amount of employees, it doesn't take a lot. It just takes the standards. One of the companies that I was a director of HR for, our handbook was maybe 17 pages. As opposed to when I was at FACOSA or when I was at Cummins, where the handbook was anywhere from 55 to 100 pages. So when you start thinking about that, things can be modified in the way that you need it. And that's what a business solutions company does.
Yeah, that's actually my niche, is small businesses and employee handbooks, actually safety manuals as well. So I have wrote an employee manual for, it wasn't here locally, but for a roofing company, and it was just him and his son, and one office assistant. That was, they had their crew, their contracted crew for roofing, but they wanted an employee manual in place for just the three of them. So I created their employee manual. And like Dee said, it doesn't have to be a 55-page, book. It can be a 5-page stapled document that, works for them. But he felt, you know, it was important that he had things because he needed everything covered when it came to those type of policies.
Well, and I'm thinking too, somewhat, even if you want to put policies in place for, you know, if you have a business of 2 and 3 employees, but you want to be able to have the things in place so that when you grow to 10, 20, 30 employees, that you have some good groundwork laid already.
Right. Exactly.
The most important thing with starting any business is, you know, there's the vision, the mission statements, there's all the things that go along with it. But having an employee handbook, having a manual of some sorts that if something were to happen, or just a guideline book for what am I supposed to do in this situation, or what if this happens, or what's available to me. That's why it's the most important thing that you could have, because that's just the basics.
If anybody else has any other questions, you can jump in, but I want to ask Dee, so you said you did a small stint with Payroll. I know, I see you, Avery. I know that a lot of people outsource their payroll. Any pros and cons? Speak on that at all?
So my short time in payroll, which was a little bit less than a year, I tell you what, anybody on here who is a payroll aficionado, payroll expert, you've been doing it for years and years and years, you have the patience of Job. It is time consuming. It is, it changes all the time. Some software may work best for some situations. I was at a company once, so I had a small stint with Payroll before Cummins, but they changed software 3 times trying to get people paid. And so it's like, here's the software. Okay, I got it. Okay, well, we're changing it. Okay, now I'll learn another one. But at the same time that I'm learning it, you know, the leadership team is learning it as well. And it was just it's a nightmare. So what I would say is, if you have opportunities to train in payroll, if you're a payroll personnel, if you have the opportunity to train in payroll, take that home and train some more, an extra hour at home, just so you can get familiar with it. Because I'm telling you, that is, oh my gosh, whoever is on here and you are a payroll expert, you've been doing it for years, you have my blessing for sainthood.
So it's kind of like people feel about accountants, just outsource it. It's probably a better option than anything else, especially for a small business.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Avery. Sorry to.
Well, I agree with Dee. And people still want to get paid, so they don't care if you know the system or not. They want their
Right.
paycheck, and they want their vacation right, and they want their sick days right. So I agree. So we're small. We have around 15 to 18 employees, and we work weekends and we work after hours, and we have kind of this flex schedule. We have some people that are like frontline people that are in the office answering the phones. And something that we run into that I would love to hear from you all from an HR standpoint, what is the best way to manage like people's time? So like, we know you work weekends sometimes, so you might get off sometime the next week, but then again, we know you kind of work at the front desk all the time, but you have to be here all the time. And so there's that flex time versus like the set time, and trying to make it fair for everybody across the board. And we are also running into it with COVID and working from home. Like some people are like, well, I just prefer to work at home, but we've tried to started coming back slowly. And some people would prefer just to stay at home instead of trying to do both. So I don't know if y'all have pointers on any of that, or if it makes sense to you all, but it's just hard and trying to be fair across the board with all people.
Avery, what accounting system do you guys use?
What accounting? No, I'm just kidding.
Is it QuickBooks?
You know what? We outsource. I don't know what they use,
Okay.
but our hourly employees keep up with a time card that's electronic, and we do account for. They have to say where their time has been spent. For those 2 weeks.
Okay. The reason I asked that, and I'm not, you might want to look this up, but I know there is a application that is very useful for tracking time with employees called T-Sheets. It's just T-Sheets, and but I don't know if it's tied to QuickBooks only. It may actually work with any platform, but it's also, it's an app you can download on your phone, and your employees can actually log in, and it shows the time they started, and then they log out, and it's tracked at the office by someone. It's showing the number of hours. That's one I know. In fact, that roofing company that I referred to used it to track their crew out, because their crew, obviously doing roofing, was out everywhere, all over the country. And so they needed to be able to access their hours, and that was what they used. And it worked very well. That's just one that I'm aware of. I know Workday is another application platform that can track hours. You would want to look for remote time tracking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to clarify maybe. I guess what I was trying to ask is, so when we have a small team and we all have different job descriptions and what our duties are, and in some cases it requires some people to work late evenings or maybe a weekend, and to offset that extra time, like the next week they might not come in until like 10 o'clock.
Okay.
But then there may be some staff that work, just the standard, 10 to 3 or 9 to 5. Is there something that you all have seen where there's a way to kind of make that consistent across the board and make it, because we want it to be fair, but we also know that not everybody has the same job, so there's different requirements. So I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So real quick, and I'm sorry if you had something, Dawn, real quick.
No, go ahead.
So what I was going to say is I heard you mention flex time. I'm a big proponent of flex time. That's what I use right now with some of my people. Of course, as I mentioned, they work 30 hours a week. Some weeks they'll work 8 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 6 hours on Thursday, and then have Friday off. I had one-on-ones to communicate with them whether they wanted to work from home, and they set their own schedules. So that's one of the biggest things, is making sure that people, that you talk to people, you get that one-on-one with them to find out exactly what might be going on. Through my one-on-ones with people, I found out sometimes stuff that I don't really want to know, but you find out that personal information, so then you can kind of manage from that aspect, such as, one person that's raising her grandkids, so she's got to be able to have that school schedule. Like today, want the opportunity to work from home. Okay. But you can work from home. However, what I need to have is, with us, we have the Google Hangouts, where if you open up your email, I'll be able to kind of track you on the chats. While I don't micromanage, I at least want to know that you're still logged in, you're still on. So then that way, if I need to get a hold of you, I can get a hold of you. And that's kind of the way that I track their time, their time available. The other portion is job descriptions. If you have job descriptions, make sure that you outline in the job descriptions for whatever job someone's working, what it could entail. Some Saturdays and Sundays, only a Monday through Friday role. And then, once they accept the job, when they get the acceptance letter, or however you want to do that, let them know what could be a possible scenario. Yeah, you're up front Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30 or from 8 to 5 o'clock. There may be some days where, if you have to go over with flex time, you can take a 2-hour lunch, or you can, not come in until 12 o'clock on a Friday, or whatever it may be. That has always worked for me in most of the situations when I was a director of HR. Also, being over at FACOSA, that has worked for me as well. And it's working for me at the CASA program also.
You want to make sure it's clarified too, if they're an exempt or non-exempt employee. because that makes a difference regarding law as well. So if they're exempt, non-exempt, that sets the parameters for what kind of hours they can work and how you have to pay them depending on that status. Exempt is always, obviously can work more than 40 hours. They're not mandated to be paid overtime. Non-exempt, you have to. So that's a legal issue. You want to make sure you're covered, that they know what status each of those employees are. And like Dee said, the Google chat, Microsoft has Teams. That's another one that is really valuable, is Microsoft Teams.
Yep. Teams is good. Hangouts with Google, with Gmail. I hate saying this, but I think it works a little bit easier with my team, because when we do our team calls, and so we do something like this. It's not really Zoom, but we do the face calls, and I mean, they are just over the moon. When I don't mean that because they're 60 something years old, but that's what two of them said. At 60 something years old, I didn't know that they even had technology like this. So it's easy to use. And that's another thing, by having the one-on-ones with them, that lets you know who's got the technology savvy and who needs things kind of on a lighter, simpler plane. But yeah, they're just over the moon that they don't have to come to Cookeville to have these meetings face to face, and that we're still able to interact with each other. So, but Teams is awesome. Teams is awesome. I've used Teams.
So I have a business that I worked with, not in the Upper Cumberland, but they had probably 15 to 20 employees. They were just starting out within maybe the first couple months, and the store manager, some women had complained of inappropriate comment from the store manager. And I was close related to the CEO, and he was kind of like, well, what do I do? How do I handle the situation? And it kind of came out that the manager had no training whatsoever of anything. They probably didn't have an employee handbook in place. And so what kind of training do you suggest for those management positions? Clearly sexual harassment is probably part of it, but what other kind of training would be important for people in those positions?
I have taught sexual harassment. I've also taught safety. I also have a very good diversity course that I train. For me, if a manager, if someone is in management and has not already learned that speaking inappropriately is a no-no, it sounds to me like they need some basic management courses, because that should be a known, when you get to that level. But obviously some people become managers from the ground up. And so what I did at Academy was I implemented what was called the Supervisor Academy, which was anyone that was hired off the floor or outside came into that level, which is your first level of managing someone, was Supervisor Academy. And we went over basics, lots and lots of basics. And then, the higher they go in management, we had different courses for them. But it sounds to me like diversity, sexual harassment, some basic communication would definitely be a great start for that kind of issue.
I would agree with Dawn, but I would also add sensitivity training. With the diversity training, you can get, and the sexual harassment training, you can get a lot of the information that you really need. I mean, that would be enough. I took sensitivity training, and the sensitivity training is more so on a bigger scale, such as the big issue that we had at the time with sensitivity training. And the example, we had like modules that we had to kind of resolve was if you had someone who identified as transgender, and they were looking for you to install a bathroom for just transgender, not male, not female, but transgender. So we went through some steps, some certain things, dialogue that you can have, dialogue that you should stay away from, terms that you should use, terms that you shouldn't use. And what I noticed was you can also use that whenever you're dealing with the opposite sex, whenever you're dealing with situations that people are disabled and abiding by ADA guidelines. So sensitivity training, I definitely agree with Dawn and everything that she said, but I would throw in sensitivity training as well.
Mhm.
How can very small businesses get access to these sort of things? Say just like an owner and 2 part-time employees.
Well, just a plug for my business. I have these courses online. So check out modelinbusinesssolutions.com and you can actually get those kind of training courses. Right now I'm offering them online, but I do them on site. You know, if a company is open and wants it on site, I do it as well. But I have both options. I have all the listings of all the courses on that web page.
All right, I'll check them out.
Yeah, I would suggest using Business Solutions facilities. I've had certain people that were small business owners that just tried to go and look up things online. Some of them were kind of misguided and didn't get all the information. So I swear by anybody who's got a Business Solutions facility. So that's definitely what I would suggest as well.
Why is it important to invest the money into a Business Solutions as opposed to just looking it up online? Because I'm sure, free information, but I guess you get what you pay for a lot of times.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what I've noticed is with Business Solutions, you've got someone who has that in their wheelhouse, their expertise. A lot of times you've got maybe a collective of different people who have just written some things out. There was one in, I think, Tallahassee, that a friend of mine was asking me about the legitimacy of it. And it turned out that they had fictional information about their degrees and such. They said that they had graduated from some business school when realistically, I think that they had graduated from the University of Phoenix. Nothing wrong with that. But if you've got someone who wants to go online and falsify where they graduated from, then maybe there's something to that. There's some elements to that.
Yeah, and right now, especially, you have to be really cautious because with COVID, it has brought on a lot of startups online. And so you could have Joe Blow next door who just decide, hey, I'm gonna create a course and just put it out there for $50 and and start making some money from home. And you have to be very, very careful of that because that's really happening right now a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot less validity and reliability with some of the ones that you find online. That's why if you've got somebody either with a brick and mortar or that can be traced back, such as Dawn. I mean, you can go in and research hers, and I'm sure research her background. And just speaking with her at the last event that you had, I just kept saying to myself, wow, she really knows what she's doing. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions that any of you have? I know I've kind of steered the conversation a bit. Anybody else have any specific things that they want answered?
I've got a question. Is it Haley Smith? Mm-hmm. Haley, where are you at?
It's the Biz Foundry.
I'm at the Biz Foundry.
I was about to say, her office looks amazing. Where is that?
Thanks. It's Tiffany's office, actually. I work in the co-working
I should have known. A personal plug for Tiffany's office. Never mind.
Right.
Those are my beautiful flowers.
That's what I was thinking. I was just like, man, that's so warm and inviting. If I was there for an interview, I would feel at home. So that's another thing. Decor. Have the business decor going on.
come by and see me anytime, Dee.
For sure. For sure.
My office.
For sure.
All right, so let me just remind you all that our next community call is going to be August 17th, 11 a.m. Abigail is going to talk about Google My Business and G Suite. And I just lost my Zoom window, sorry. And so we will be back here at that time. We hope that you all will join, spread the word. Like I said, we're really trying to form a community of small business owners that can just, you know, help each other out and give each other the support that we need as a small business community in the Upper Cumberland. So we will be sending a link in the next couple days for that email, or I'll email out with that link to sign up for that Zoom call, and we will see you then. Any other questions right now, comments? Thank you, Dee and Dawn, for joining us today and giving all your wisdom and insight. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys later. Have a great Thursday. Go vote.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.